your attendance. And the monitor, I want to ask you a question. Do we have small groups in our classroom right now?
Could you speak again?
Okay. So yesterday, in the last lecture, I give you a task to divide our class into small groups. So have you done this task?
Yes, I will send group on Google Classroom.
Okay. Okay. So next I will have a new task for you. Okay, as I introduced in the previous class, we are going to have a group project. Okay, and we are going to have 8 chapters. Okay. So how many groups are there in our classroom?
6.
6 groups, right? Okay, so there are 8 chapters right here. Okay. And let me see. Okay, the monitor will think of a way to let the group pick the chapter that they want to do their project. So each group will have to do one chapter. Okay, so for example, one group do chapter 8, one group do chapter 7, one group do chapter 4, and one group do chapter 3. Okay, and after each group locate one chapter, then I will tell them which case in the chapter that he will do. Okay, for example, like one group choose chapter 6. Okay, and there are 2 case study in chapter 6, and I will be the one who decide which case study you will do. You will prepare for the team. Okay, so you understand? So you understand the task? Okay, again, the monitor. Today after the lecture, you will think of a way to for the group to pick the chapter.
I think randomly. I will.
Okay. You are the one who decide.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then each group will be in charge of one chapter, and I will be the one who decide which case study they will do. Okay.
Yes.
So we continue our today's lecture. Okay. Any question?
No. No. Any question I will tell you later.
Okay. Okay. So I have seen all the information that the student input for their attendance record right here. Okay. Okay. We also have one multiple choice question. We have one multiple choice question to review the content that we have discussed in the previous lecture. So I will spend maybe 2 minutes for you guys to complete this multiple choice question. Okay, let's see the results. 67% of the students choose the option number 1. So the question is, a consequentialist is likely to approach the trolley car case by focusing on the number of lives that would be saved by diverting the trolley car. So let's recall the cases that we have been discussing during the previous lecture. Okay, so we have discussed 3 cases. The number 1 is the trolley, the number 1 is the trolley car. You will have to decide whether or not to turn the wheel and to take the side track to kill 1 person but to save 5, or just go straight ahead and crash into the 5 workers and kill them all. Okay, so a consequentialist is a approach that they look at the consequences, they look at the results, they don't care about anything else, they only care about the results. So result, the two options will be the option number 1. If they go straight, they will kill 5 people. Okay, and in option number 2, if they take the sidetrack, they will only kill 1 person. So by comparing the results, they will choose the option that has more benefits. So they take the option number 2, turn the wheel to the sidetrack. So the consequentialists only care about the consequences, only care about the results. So they would focusing on the number of lives that would be saved by diverting the trolley car. Okay. So the first option right here is the correct answer. Okay. So they care about the people, the number of people would be saved, and they care about the number of people would die. Okay. So they choose the option that save the most number of people and kill the least number of people. Okay. Moral rule telling us not to kill under any circumstances. Okay, so kill somebody is also a moral rule, but consequentialists, they don't care about moral rule. The only thing they care is the consequences. Yeah. Whether the people on the tracks consented to be there and consented to being put at risk. Consented here mean agree. Okay, so consequentialists, they don't care about the opinion of the people that involved in the situation. They don't care whether that people agree to be in the situation. They don't care about whether the people agree to be putting at risk. They don't care about whether the people agree that their life can be taken. Okay, the only thing they care the consequences. And next, the rights of the people who would be killed if the trolley car is diverted. Okay. They also not care about the rights. The right is another approach. Yeah, they don't care about the rights of the people, don't care about the human rights and other rights as well. Last, the inherent evil in killing 1 person in order to save a greater number of people. Okay, so they also not care about the guilt of killing human. Okay, so this is the consequential approach. And remember, in the last lecture, we also discussed about the case of organ transplant surgeon. Okay, in this case, most of the people, the majority of the students, choose to not kill one person in order to save life because they feel like they will violate that person's human rights, the right to live. Yeah. So in the third case, we can tell that there are certain rights of the human that we cannot violate, even though it brings good result, even though it saves more people, and sacrifice only one person, and in order to save 5 people, it wouldn't be right to kill anyone. So we talk a lot about moral and ethics, but we don't know what is moral, what is ethics. Yes, and that will be the content of today's lecture. Okay, so in today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the nature of business ethics. Why is ethics very important to business? Okay. Why do we need ethics in our life? And then we are going to discuss about moral reasoning and moral decision making. Okay. So why do we need moral reasoning in our decision making? Okay. And we also gonna get to know moral and non-moral standards, moral and non-moral norms. What are the differences between moral and non-moral norms? Okay. So let's talk about the nature of business ethics. one question I have for you guys. Are corporations required to be ethical? It is a requirement that corporation must be ethical. Yes or no? You can raise your hand and I will call your name. And then you will be given extra credit. And there is no right or wrong answer in my lecture. We're just discussing the issue. So are corporations required to be ethical? Yes or no, and why?
Em đưa hand.
Vân Anh.
I think yes, but it depends on it depends on any corporation. Because when they sometimes when corporation are not required to be ethical, they can earn more and more benefits. And I think now many corporations they are not work they are not work to be ethical. I think so.
Okay, very good. So I want to hear another opinion from Hương Giang.
Yes, I also think that the corporation must have the ethical, because as according to my research, ethics is the rules are the rules of the conduct recognized in respect to a particular class of a particular group or culture. So I think the answer is yes.
Okay, very good. So one more question. Corporation. A corporation is required to be ethical by whom? Who would require corporation to be ethical? Raise your hand. Who would require corporation to be ethical? Do we want corporation to be ethical? Chu Thị Hiền. So you think the manager will require a corporation to be ethical? Very good. Phương Anh.
I think the government that require the corporation to be ethical, and they will give the law that the corporation must follow.
Okay, so government is another subject that would require the government, that would require corporation to be ethical. Okay, very good. Any other subject? Any other subject?
I guess the corporate itself, because it good for it creates business efficiency, such as increased productivity, commitment of employees, and improve product quality.
Okay, very good, Phương Nhi. Okay, can you tell me other subjects? Other subjects would require corporation to be ethical. Who else? Who else would demand corporation to be ethical?
Customer.
Yeah, exactly. Phương Anh, very good. Why customer would want a corporation to be ethical?
Because the customer want to the corporation for example, customer want to the corporation have the product a green product to protect environment. So customer have to require corporate to can ethic.
Okay. And then besides customer, who else? Besides customer, who else?
Government.
Government has already been said. So you guys have so the student have given me a list, including the government, the corporation itself, the customers, and then what else?
I think employee.
Exactly. Okay. Why? Why the employee?
I think that when the corporation be ethical, they can treat their employee well.
Okay, very good. So the monitor, you should record the people that share opinion in my lecture. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Okay. So we can see that for a corporation, they will have a dilemma. They will be struggling with the issue that now a lot of people want me to be ethical, yeah, but sometimes being ethical also mean that I have to lower my profit. But my biggest purpose of running a business is to make a profit. So what should I do? Okay. Should I just focus on my profit making goal, or should I care about what people demand to me? Okay, so that is a dilemma of the corporation. However, in our textbook, yeah, we come from an approach that said ethical behavior is the best long-term strategy. Okay. So ethical behavior is not contrast with the profit making goal. Okay, it's actually can support profit making. Okay, and it will be the best long-term strategy. Maybe in short term, corporation won't see it. They won't see that. If you care about the ethical behavior, you will make a lot of money. In short term, maybe you don't see that, but in overall, the long term, yeah, you will see that. Why? It is because as a customer, yeah, we would want to buy products from an ethical corporation. Okay, I ask you one question. If you are a customer and there is a corporation that they make the marketing, they make a false marketing to deceive the customer. But they offer the product at a very low price. Then would you buy product from this corporation? Yes or no? Would you want to buy products from a corporation that is unethical? Of course, no, right? You maybe you can buy product from an unethical corporation one time, but maybe in the long term, yeah, you won't choose that option. If you have another option, okay, if you know there is another corporation selling a similar product, but they are ethical, then certainly you are going to switch your choice. So over the long term, you will be able to sustain your customer if you are ethical behavior. Yeah, and if you have unethical behavior, then in the long term, all the customer will leave you. They will say goodbye to you. Yeah. And also taking the perspective of employee. Okay, imagine that you are an employee of a corporation. Okay, and imagine that that corporation give you a very high salary. They pay you very well, but they doesn't treat you well. They doesn't respect you. They doesn't they doesn't listen to your voice. Yeah, and they make you to work in a terrible condition. They doesn't give you the health care benefits. Then would you work for that corporation?
No.
Okay, Phương Anh, why wouldn't you work for that corporation? They pay you very high salary.
Although I have the very high salary, but I don't have expected, and I feel it's uncomfortable when I work at this corporation.
Okay, so if you work there for 1 month, for only 1 month, will you work for that corporation?
If this is only 1 month, I will consider.
Okay, but if it is 10 years, will you work there for 10 years?
And
Very high salary.
No.
Okay.
I think I will strap.
Okay, very good. So we can see that unethical corporation, yeah, they can attract the customer, or they can attract the employee for a very short time, yeah, because of the profit that they can bring to the customer and the employee. But over a long term, yeah, the customer and the employee, they will not want to get along or to stay to sustain with the corporation. Only ethical behavior corporation, yeah, can encourage people to reward the organization with loyalty and commitment. Okay, the customer will be loyalty to the organization. The employee will have a high commitment to the organization in the long term, and they will become the competitive advantage of the organization. Yeah. So in here, you should remember that ethical behavior is the best long-term strategy for the firm. It will provide the firm significant competitive advantage, and it will make sure that the firm has loyalty and commitment from employee, from customer, from supplier, from business partner. Okay. And also, most importantly, ethical behavior increase the chance of success for organization. Okay. Right now, a lot of organizations, they choose to be unethical because they prioritize the profit-making goal. Yeah. However, in many research have shown that being ethical is actually can encourage the profit-making goal in the long term. Okay. Which means that the more ethical you are, the more money you can make. So the purpose of studying business ethics is not to persuade people to act in a certain moral way, Okay, so when we study this subject, it doesn't force you to, okay, I always have to be a good person, I always have to make the right decision, I always have to be ethic. Yeah. The goal is not like that. The goal of studying this subject is to give you a deeper understanding, yeah, of your own action. Yeah. For example, in the previous class, when we discussing the case, when I asked the student, why do you choose this option? The student say, oh, I just choose it randomly. I don't know how to do, so I just pick a random option. But if you study this subject, you will understand the underlying reasons behind your action. You will be able to evaluate your action and others' action. Yeah. So it will give you a framework for moral decision making that you can use in whatever ethical dilemmas you may face in the future. Yeah. So you will have a guidance to make decision, and you will be able to evaluate whether this action or this decision is suitable or not. And we all gonna face some sort of ethical dilemmas in our life, for sure. Okay, and here are some of the examples of ethical dilemmas that we may have in our life. So the first one, before you even start working for a company, you will be faced with ethical decisions about how creative your resume should be. Okay, so this means that when you graduate from university, you have to write your CV to apply for a job. Okay, and while you writing the CV, you are considering, you are faced with the dilemmas. Okay, how honest should I be? Okay, if I use my imagination and added some experience that I have never had before, it will make my CV look better. Yeah, and the employer, they won't know about it. Yeah, but then it's also equal with lying. Yeah, so what should you do? Should you lie in your resume but you have a good one, or should you be honest and your resume would be not so good compared to the competitor? Okay, what should you do in this case? That is a dilemma. The second one, you may have to decide whether to cut corners just a little bit in your job. What does it mean? It means that, for example, in the future, your employer is going to require you to write a report, okay? And he expects that you have to write everything by yourself. Yeah. But then you want to save time, okay? You are going to go on the internet and you find somebody's work and you copy their work to be yours. It will save you time, but then it's also another type of lying, of dishonest. Yeah. So what should you do in this case? Should you do everything by yourself? It's gonna cost you a lot of time and energy, or should you save time and energy just by stealing other people's work? Okay. And then whether to give your relative or friend a company contract, it is also a very popular problems right now in Vietnam, right? You see that a lot of people with high power, yeah, when they recruit employee, instead of choosing fairly and equally from the employee, they give that job opportunity to somebody that they know, for example, like their son, their daughter, or their relatives. Yeah, so is that ethical? Okay. Next, whether to put a little extra into the expenses you report for a company trip you made. So in the future, when you work for a firm, sometimes they will send you on a business trip and they will give you some money to spend on that trip. Yeah. So probably you are going to spend half of the fund and you are expected to return the other half back to the company. But then you see that, wow, that's so much money. I can just made up some expenses and take all that money. Okay, so in one way you will have more money, okay, but lying, and in another way you will have no money but you be honest. So which one do you choose? Okay, so that is also a dilemma. And in another case, you will catch a friend stealing from the company and have to decide whether to turn him in. Okay, like right now when you are in classroom, when you guys doing assignment, okay, you found out that another team, they do not do the assignment by themselves, but they pay for the service to do the exercise for them, to do the assignment for them, which means that they are being dishonest. Okay, will you raise the voice? Will you turn them in to the lecturer? Yeah. Or will you just keep silence because it's none of your business? Yeah. So this is also an ethical dilemma that you have to find a way to solve it. And then you will find out your company is doing something illegal and have to decide what you are going to do about it. Okay, this is another case. You are working for the company and you are expected to obey the company's rules, and you are expected to be loyalty to the firm. Yeah, but then you found out oh, there is something wrong with the operation of the firm. Okay, this is not a good firm. What should you do now? Okay, should you do your responsibility that you should obey the firm and you should loyalty to the firm, or should you betray the firm? Okay, but you are honest with the illegal activities that the firm is taking in. The last one, maybe your boss will ask you to do something you think is wrong. Okay, what are you going to do in this case? This will happen in your life in the future. Okay, your boss or your co-worker or the people that has a higher power than you ask you to do something that you think is wrong. What are you going to choose? Are you going to obey him, or are you going to say no to him? Yeah, but you can be honest to yourself. Yeah, you will probably be fired. You will have no job, but you will be honest to yourself. Or are you going to be agree with him with the wrongdoing? Yeah. So this is very difficult situation, but after this course, you will have some principles that you can use in order to solve this case. So in the homework I have given you guys, I have told you to do a little research about ethics and morality. Okay, it is the same. Are they have the same meaning? So somebody can tell me they are fighting. Raise your hand and tell me you're fighting. What is ethics? What is morality? Are they the same? Anybody? What is ethics? What is morality? Are they the same or different? What is ethics in Vietnamese? Who can answer? Mai Hà nào.
Ethics are a guiding principle which helps the individual or group to decide what is good or bad. And moral are the beliefs of the individual or group as to what is right or wrong.
Okay, so do you think they are the same?
I think it's different.
What is the difference?
Morals is a general principle set by group. Ethics respond a specific situation.
Can you explain about ethics again?
Ethics respond a specific situation.
Okay, so you say that morality is the study of what is good, bad and bad, what is right and wrong, and ethics is the same with moral, but it focus on a particular situation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so very good. Actually, right now we have a definition of morality. Yeah, we have a definition of moral, but we do not have a definition of ethics. Okay, so ethics can mean different things to different people, and it can mean different things in different subjects. Yeah. And in our subject, we define ethics and morality as follow. Okay, so morality or moral, yeah, are the standards that an individual or group has about what is right and wrong, or good and evil. So this is the same with what you guys found. Okay, so morality is the standards that help us to determine what is good and bad, what is right and wrong. Okay, but ethics, what is ethics? In our book, it says that ethics is the study of morality. Okay, so what we are doing right now is ethics. Okay, we're learning about morality. Yeah, so what we're doing right now is ethics. So where do we get our morality from? Where do we get our morality from? Where do we get the standards about what is right and wrong, what is good and evil? Where do we get those standards? From where? Raise your hand. Where is our moral comes from? Chu Thị Hiền à? Okay, very good. So our moral do not come from ourselves. Okay, imagine that you are just a newborn baby. A newborn baby doesn't know what is right and wrong, what is good or bad, but her mom told her. Her mom teaches her. Okay, this is good, this is bad. If you do this, you will get a bravo, and if you do that, you will be punished. So she learned what is right and wrong from her mom, and also from family, friends, school, religion, employment, social engagements. So people learn what is right and wrong from those relationships. Okay, so their morality is also formed from this relationship. Okay, so you guys should remember for me that moral do not come from ourselves. Okay, it's come from the environment, the external environment, from the relationship that we have with the external people. So in here, I have two different groups of moral, two different groups of norms. Group number 1, do not harm other people. Yeah. Do not steal what belongs to others. Do not lie to other people. Yeah. Group number 2, do not eat with your mouth open. Do not chew gum in class. Do not wear socks that do not match. So you can see that this is kind of like rules and regulations. Yeah. So what are the differences between these two groups? Can you comment? Can you make some comment on the differences? So we can see that both group have rules that guide us whether something is right and wrong, right? Something is good or bad. Yeah. Harm people is bad. Okay. Eat with your mouth open is bad. Yeah. Stealing is bad. Chew gum in class is also bad. So these two groups are the standards that tell you what is right and wrong, what is good or bad. Yeah. But can you try to tell the differences between these two groups?
I think group number 1 is more moral standard than group number 2. I think group number 2 is have the more polite.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you more questions. Which group has the action that are more serious action?
Group number 1.
Okay. Which group has the action that can be applied in any situation and to anybody?
Group number 2.
Only group number 2?
No, I think all group.
Okay, very good. What else? Let me see. Okay, which group has the action that can tell if a human is good or bad?
I think group 1.
Okay, and which group has the action that when you violate it, you will feel very guilty?
I think no group.
None of the group?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you do it, you will feel guilty. You will feel shame. You will feel regret.
I think so.
None of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you lie to other people, you wouldn't feel guilty. You wouldn't feel bad if you lie to other people. If you steal something from other people, you wouldn't feel guilty. You wouldn't feel bad. Yes or no? Okay. So I just give you some criteria to compare the differences between these two groups. Okay. So we have concluded that in group number 1 is deal with more serious matter. Yeah. For example, like Harming other people is very serious. Okay, stealing is very serious. Lie to other people is also very serious. Okay. Eat with a mouth open. It's okay. It's okay if you do that. It's acceptable in some cases. Yeah. Show gum in class. Okay, in my class, you can do whatever you want. You can show gum. I don't care. Okay, as long as you pay attention to your lecture. Yeah. Wear socks that do not match. I think that is the freedom of a person. Yeah, you can be very bold. You can be very creative in your styling. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. So the first group, very serious matter. Okay, the second group, medium, so. Yeah. Next, the first group. The first group is going to determine whether you are a good or a bad person. Okay, if you harm other people, you probably not a good person. If you like hitting other people, it's probably you are not a good person. Okay, if you stealing all the time, you are not a good person. Okay, but if you eat with your mouth open, it means that you do not have a good behavior, but you are still a good person. Okay, if you chew gum in class, it may not be a nice or polite behavior, but you still good person. Okay, so only group number one gonna tell whether you are a well-being person or not. And then this one will come with a feeling of guilty. Okay, guilty, which means that you know guilty? You know this word, guilty.
Yes.
Okay, so in the group number one, if you do this action, you will feel very guilty. Okay, you hit somebody, you say, oh my god, why did I do that? I was too angry. Okay, I'm so regret my action. So you feel guilty. But in the second group, you do not feel guilty. Okay, you show them in class. Okay, that's my way of that's my choice, my decision. I do not feel guilty because it do not impact anybody else. Okay. And next, the group number one can apply to any situation. Okay, to any people over the world. Okay. Do not harm other people. The same in Vietnam, the same in the US, the same in the UK. Do not steal what belongs to others. No country in the world agree with stealing. Okay, but group number two, it just occur in some particular situation. For example, like in other classes that you take, you are not allowed to show gum. You are not allowed to wear socks that do not match. But in my class, you can do whatever you want. So it is not universal. Yeah, it does not apply to everyone. But the group number one applies to everyone. Okay, so group number one as an example of moral standards or moral norms. Okay, and group number two are non-moral norms. Okay, and this is the definition of moral standard and non-moral standards. Okay, both of them are the rules that that you can use to determine what is good or bad, what is right and wrong. Yeah, but group number one is moral rules, moral standards, and it has some characteristics. Okay. And what are the characteristics that distinguish the difference between the moral versus non-moral norms? Let's look at the 6 characteristics of moral standard. First, moral standard deal with serious matters, as I already explained. Okay. And also moral standards are preferred to other values, which means that moral standard will higher than other values. It should be higher than family value. It should be higher than self-interest. And then moral standards are independent of authority, which means that the moral standard is not come from anybody. It is not it is not be decided by any institution or anybody. It just come from it comes from yourself, that you think that is the right thing to do. Okay. And then moral standards are universal, which means that it's the same everywhere in any country. Yeah. And moral standards are determined impartially. Yeah. What is impartially? Impartially is the same with fairness or equally, which means that this moral standard applies to anyone. Yeah, no matter their age, no matter their career, no matter their nationality. Okay, and last one, moral standards are associated with special emotions and vocabulary. Okay, so you should remember the 6 characteristics of moral standards. Okay, and now we are going to watch a very short YouTube video that explaining to us the 6 characteristics of moral standards. Okay, and what I want you to do is I want you to write down the explanation, yeah, of each characteristic that the video try to provide us. Okay. So they're gonna explain about deal with serious matter. So what are the serious matter that they talk about? Okay, and then they are gonna talk about other values. So what are the other values? What is the example that they bring up to demonstrate for this characteristic? Yeah, and then associated with special emotion. What kind of emotion? Okay, what kind of emotion they mentioned in the video?
There are many kinds of rules in society. From the "don't talk when your mouth is full" of dining etiquette, to the subject-verb agreement of language grammar, and the no hitting below the belt of sports, rules are everywhere. Rules exist to give order and maintain peace in society. But one of the most important rules that all of us have to follow, to ensure everyone's well-being, is what is called moral standard. But what is a moral standard? What makes it more important than other kinds of rules, or what are also called non-moral standards? Basically, a moral standard is a norm which a society or an individual has regarding which actions are morally right and which actions are morally wrong. To further explain what moral standards are, here are 5 points. Number 1. Unlike other rules, moral standards deal with matters that can seriously harm or benefit human beings. Matters such as theft, rape, murder, etc. Number 2. The validity of moral standards depends on the sufficiency of the reasons that support and justify them. This means that the value and authority of moral standards are not merely based on the decision of the majority or of the authorities, but rather on their soundness. For example, that one ought to tell the truth does not depend on how many people will vote on it, nor on the legislature, but rather because it is the sound and right thing to do. Number 3. Moral standards are to be preferred over other values. Even self-interest. Being honest, for instance, is to be preferred over cheating. Although cheating can help me graduate. Number 4. Moral standards are based on impartial or unbiased considerations. They are universalizable, meaning they can be applied to most, if not all situations, and to anybody, regardless of their age, gender, race, etc. And, number 5. Moral standards are associated with special, usually strong emotions, such as guilt, shame, remorse, praise, etc. Killing, for example, can make a person feel deep and serious guilt and regret, while saving the life of another makes one feel proud and praiseworthy. To summarize, moral standards are rules that tell us which actions are morally good and which ones are bad. They deal with more serious cases. They are sound, authoritative, significant, and impartial. They have strong emotional consequences compared to non-moral rules. If you learned something new from this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more content on philosophy and language. Thank you and have a great day.
Okay, so hopefully that all of you would be able to write down the extra information that they give for each characteristic. So deal with serious matters. What are the serious matters that they mentioned in the video? Raise your hand. Okay, Hương Giang, please.
Yes, the serious matter that they are the theft, rape, or murder.
Okay, so thief also means stealing. Okay, rape and murder. Okay. And second, moral standards are preferred to other values. What is the example that they give? Raise your hand. Okay, you can continue.
I heard that they they said that it's self-interest.
Okay. Did anybody catch the example for this characteristic?
Cheating.
Cheating. Okay. What moral standard is higher than cheating? In the video. Okay, so they say that being honest is preferred than cheating, even though cheating can help you graduate. Okay, so being honest is a moral standard. Okay, and being honest is higher than cheating, even though cheating will bring you more profit, will bring you more benefit. And next, moral standards are independent of authority, which means that which means that moral standard is something that you should do, not because you're afraid of the law, but it is the right thing to do. Yeah. And then it is universal. It's applied in any country, anybody. Okay. And then it's associated with special emotions. What are the special emotions that they mentioned in the video? Okay, Hương Giang, continue.
The emotion that they is guilt, shame, remorse, and praise.
Very good. So remorse is equal with regret. Okay. So if you do something bad, if you violate the moral standards, then you will feel guilty, you will feel shame, and you will feel regret. And if you do something good, something that align with moral standards, and you will feel very good, very happy, and you will feel praised. So you should remember, and only moral standards will have these 6 characteristics. Okay, if a standard doesn't have all of these 6 characteristics, then it will be non-moral standard. Okay, next I have let's see. Okay. Next, I have one multiple choice question related to the characteristic of the moral standards to make sure that everybody understands what we have just discussed. Okay, let's look at the answer for this one. Okay, only 36 of the students have the correct answer. Okay, we just discussed about this, and you have already forgot. Okay, let's see. Moral standards can be distinguished from non-moral standards using the 6 characteristics. Okay, the first, they deal with matters that can seriously injure or benefit humans. Yeah, so this one is correct one. Okay, and they are not established or changed by authoritative bodies. Yes, moral standards are not determined by anybody, by authoritative body, but it's just the right thing to do. Okay, the sound thing to do, the soundness of the moral standards. So this is also a correct answer. Okay, they are based on impartial consideration. Yeah, which means that they are based on a fair consideration. Yeah, a thorough consideration. Yeah, and this is also a correct answer. So all of the above are the correct answer. Okay, so a lot of people pick A and C. Yeah, and you miss the second one right here. Okay, so anybody that give the wrong answer, this is a warning for you, so you can come back and study again this section. Okay, next we are going to discuss the case BF Goodrich, and this case will help us to identify the definition of moral and ethics. Okay. So I also ask you guys to read this case at home. Okay, and this case has many different parts. So the beginning of the case is in page 4 and 5, and then you will have another part again in page 7 and 8. The problem is on page 7 and 8, and then the ending is on page 10. Okay, so I'm gonna give you maybe 2 minutes to look at the case again, and then we will start discussing it. So 2 minutes. So you should open the case in your screen, so you can find information immediately. Okay, now we are going to solve this case together. And as we are doing it, you should pay attention at the way I solve the case study, because you are going to do the same with your group project. Okay, the first thing that we are going to do is to determine the context. The context of the case. Yeah. By answering the question, who are the characters? Who are the characters in this case? Okay. Can you find some name? Can you find some individual, some names in this case? Raise your hand. Who are the characters in this case? You see any names?
John Warren,
Okay, Trung Kiên.
John Warren,
Okay. Number one, we have John Warren. Okay. Who else?
Lawson,
Mm. Cyril Lawson. Okay. Who else? Anybody else? Okay. Who can add to this? Who has the extra information? Who else are mentioned in the text?
Manager.
What is his name?
No name.
Okay.
Yes.
So in page, very good. In page number 8. Okay. In page number 8, in the fourth line, you see a name, Vanderbilt. Okay. He also a character in this case. And the last one, the most obvious one, but you didn't pay attention. The most obvious one, that is the firm, right? The firm is also a character. Okay. Now I want you to give me more information about each individual and the corporation. Who are they? Who is John Warren? Who? Raise your hand.
He is an older BF Goodrich engineer.
So he is an engineer. What else?
He design brake.
What is his job? What is his job?
He designed the brake.
Okay, so he's a brake designer.
Yes.
Okay, very good. How's about Lawson? Who is Lawson?
Lawson is a young engineer.
Very good.
And his job is determining the best material.
Determining the.
Yes.
What else? What else? What other information we have about him?
He used it to brake lining and test the brake.
So his job is to test the brake quality. Okay, what else? He was also newly graduated. Okay. Who is Vanderbilt? Who is Vanderbilt? Anybody know? Who is Vanderbilt? So in the text, there is no information about Vanderbilt's position. Okay. But we can make a guess. What is his main duty? What is his main job? So Warren's job is to design the brake. Lawson's job is to test the brake. And what is Vanderbilt's job? What is Vanderbilt's job? Anyone? Đỗ Quân à? Hello, Quân. Are you there? Okay, then you can type the answer. You can write your answer in the chat box. Yên Phạm nào. Yên Phạm. Okay, so as you read in the text, Vanderbilt was required to write a report, right? So we can say that he is a report writer. Okay, that is his job, and we can guess that he is probably a manager. Right? What other information do we have about him? About his personal life? What other information that we have about his personal life? Anyone? Very good. What else? Okay. He has some financial obligation. For example, like he has mortgage payment. Mortgage payment. So in the US, when you don't need to have a lot of money to buy a house, you can buy a house with interest. Yeah, and every month you have to pay the mortgage payment towards your house. So it may take you 30 years until you pay all the mortgage payment to actually obtain the house. And he also needs to support his family financially. Okay. How's about BF Goodrich? What is the job of BF Goodrich? What is this firm doing?
A manufacturer of vehicle parts.
Yes, very good. So this is a manufacturer firm. Okay. And what is his job right now?
Now, this company design, test, and manufacture aircraft brakes.
Okay, very good. So this firm is in charge of producing aircraft brake for the US government. Okay, this is a very important job. A very high duty job. Okay, making aircraft brakes for the government is a very important job. Okay, next we talk about so in your project you also have to determine what is the context of your case study. Okay, what are the people that get involved into the case study? You have to identify each one of the characters. And then next we talk about the issue. So what is the problem in this case? Can you identify the issue here? There is one problem in this case. Okay, if all the characters, if each and every one characters do their job very well, then there wouldn't be any issues. But here in this text we have one issue. So what is the issue? There must be someone didn't do their job very well. Who that is? Who is that? Okay, but what is the issue here? Okay, the issue is that when Lawson is doing his job, okay, when Lawson is testing the brake quality, he realized that the brake design was a mistake. So this is the issue. Yeah, he found out that Warren wasn't doing an excellent job. He make a mistake in his design. Okay. So Lawson told Warren about his finding and asked him to do a new to redesign. Yeah. But then Warren, we don't know what's the reason he's reject. he's rejected. Okay. We don't know his reason. It's probably can be like he's too believe in himself. He thinks that, oh, I'm a very professional designer. I can never make mistake. Or he can underestimate Lawson. He thinks that, oh, Lawson is just a new graduated employee. He won't be able to find out anything about my design because he is inexperienced. Or maybe he's afraid that it's gonna impact his reputation. Yeah, because he's a long-term employer, he's a long-term designer. Yeah, and if people find out that his design is a mistake, it's probably gonna affect his reputation. Okay. So this is the issue, and we have several dilemma here. What are the dilemmas? What are the situations that very difficult to decide? Can you identify some dilemmas in this case? Who faced a dilemmas in this case?
Lawson.
Okay. So Lawson, what is the dilemma of Lawson? What is the dilemma of Lawson? Okay, so he know that the brake is wrong, the design is wrong, but then he wonder what should he do. Okay, should we keep silence or should he report it to the higher authorities? So let's list some of the moral standards that each character has to face. Lawson has to face with several moral standards. What is the first one? What is the first moral standard that Lawson has to tell? So there are some examples of the moral standards we have learned in the previous slide. The first one, do not harm other. Yeah, do not steal things that do not belong to you. And then what else? Do not lie to other people. Yeah. What are the moral standards in this case? So the first moral standard that Lawson has is to be honest. Okay. Always tell the truth. So he is struggling with to be honest. Okay. Should he be honest about his finding? Okay. Or should he keep silence? So this is the first moral standard that Lawson is considering. What should I do? Should I be honest or should I keep silence? Okay. The second moral standard is How could be like do not harm others. Okay. If he keeps silence, the design will be processed into the production. Okay, so they will make aircraft with false brake, with mistake brake, and it can cause serious consequences. A lot of people are gonna die from the false brake. So Lawson maybe indirectly bring harm to other people. Okay, so this is his second moral standard that he needs to consider. Okay, so if I don't want to harm other people, then I have to be honest. I have to tell the truth. If I keep silent, I may cause harm to other people. The next moral standard, the next standards that he needs to consider is he is an employee, so he should obey. He should obey the manager. Yeah. So the manager told him that he should agree to write a false report. He has to obey him. Okay. So under the situation of working in the same corporation, he has the obligation to obey his manager and do whatever the manager tell him to do, even though it's wrong. He has to be loyal to the manager. So Lawson is very struggling. He's under the pressure of 3 moral standards. Who else is in the dilemma? That is Vanderbilt. Okay, Vanderbilt is also facing with the number 1 moral standard. Should I be honest? If I be honest, I may be fired. Okay, or should I write a false report? But if I write a false report, maybe I will indirectly cause harm to other people. Okay, and I also has the obligation to put my family. Okay, I have financial responsibility. Put my family, so I cannot lose a job. I cannot tell the truth, because if I tell the truth, I will lose my job. If I lose my job, I cannot support financially for my family. So I'm very struggling. What should I do now? Yeah. Should I be honest? If I be honest, I will lose my job. I wouldn't have enough money to support my family. But if I tell lie, I will indirectly bring harm to other people. But I will keep my job and I will have money to support my family. So it's also in a dilemma. Doesn't know what to do. Next, we are going to talk about we're gonna analyze the decision. So also, what is his decision? What did he decide to do? Anybody knows? Raise your hand. What Lawson decided to do in his dilemma? Did he decide to be honest, or did he decide to obey the manager? Did you read the case study? If you read the case study, then you will be able to answer this question. What did Lawson choose to do? Okay, you can give in the test 10. Test 10. What is the decision of Lawson when facing the dilemmas? Okay, he decides to keep silence. He decides to obey the manager. To obey the manager. To write a full report. That's the quality of the break. It's good. He's obey the manager. Which means that he prioritizes his his manager over moral standard. As an employee, he has the obligation to obey to your employer and to be loyal to the firm. Vanderbilt, how did he decide for his dilemma? He choose report states that the brick is in high quality. The design is very good for production. Okay. Because he prioritized his family over moral standard. So now we understand the underlying principle behind their action. They do not choose randomly, right? They choose the option because there is a motivation behind it. Because of family value, because of employer value. So now we discuss about whether their decision is right or wrong. Now we are going to evaluate the decision, whether the decision is right or wrong and why. Okay. What do you think? You think Lawson's decision is acceptable or not? Anybody? Okay, so the evaluation is actually objective. Okay, so it's different, depend on the people who analyze it. Okay, so maybe I think the decision is wrong, but you can consider it is acceptable, and somebody else can say that, oh, it's right. It's right to put the family value at first. Okay, so this is actually depend on the evaluator. Okay, so this example just to show you guys the definition of moral and ethics. Okay, so what is moral? I show you. Okay, here is a morality. Here is a moral. Okay, moral are the standards to tell you what is right and wrong, what is good or bad. Okay, so Lawson and Vanderbilt is facing a number of moral standards. Okay, these moral standards will guide them in their action. Yeah, but we can see that some moral standards will be prioritized over the other. Okay. Okay, and even though Lawson knows that we should be honest and we should never harm other people, but he can still choose something that is not aligned with his moral standard. You do a different thing that is not aligned with his moral standard because of his personal reasons. And we already understand what is a personal reason is. Okay? And then what is ethics? Ethics is the study of morality. So what we are doing right now, we analyze the decision, right? And we evaluate it. Yeah, this is ethics. The step right here is ethics. Yeah, we analyze how people evaluate moral standard. How do they apply moral standard in their decision making, and whether the way that they apply it is right or wrong. Yeah, that is moral. That is ethics. Ethics is the study of morality. Okay, so we come back to the definition of ethics. So ethics is the principle, is the discipline that examines one's moral standards, all the moral standards of a society, to evaluate their reasonableness and their implications for one life. Yeah. So we ask the question, is it reasonable to say that one moral standard is more important or less important than others? What reasons we might have to hold certain moral standards? And how do we apply moral standards in our decision making? Yeah. All of that question illustrate the definition of ethics. Ethics is the study of moral standards and how moral standards applied in the decision making. Yeah, so that's all I have for today's lecture. Hopefully after this lecture, you will know the definition, the understanding of moral and ethics, and the differences between these two terms. Okay, and for homework, you are going to keep reading the textbook. Okay, till the end of 1.2.6 section. Okay, and then you will find the argument that support and and defend the role of ethics in business. Okay. I will also post this activity on Google Classroom, so make sure you do that for me. Okay. Today I see that many students didn't read the case as I request them to do. Okay. So hopefully next time you will spend some time to read the textbook and will be able to answer very easy questions that I give to you if you read the textbook. Okay, so that's all. Do you guys have any question for me? Any question? Yes or no?
Không ạ.
Okay. Okay. If no, then I see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Yeah, see you.